we launched season 2 of our podcast. And so we're deep into recording that. And so I'm doing lots of guests on other people's podcasts, and it's amazingly exhausting. I mean, it's not like it's physically taxing or difficult. It just burns bandwidth, man.
Yeah, it's also very much like time constraints. Like I I'm one of those people that I don't necessarily think when it comes to like tech and things. For example, like the computer that I have here, it is slow as hell. I bought it like 4 years ago. And like I'm at a point where I can't even edit my podcast normally. Like just to give you guys an understanding of how bad this computer is, those YouTube videos that you're watching, those can take over 2 hours just for me to wait for it to like actually upload and complete after editing. Like the editing, I can't even edit anymore on this computer. Like I have to use presets because that's how fucking slow this computer is. I can't even do anything, you know? There's just
Mhm.
there's so many
Mine's
obstacles. There's so
almost
many
4 years old,
obstacles.
and I need a new keyboard on it, and I can't even let
Right?
it go for a day to get it. So I ordered this other keyboard
Oh,
so that I
nice.
could have an external keyboard for my laptop, which is silliness. But I needed to be able to type using the letter L, and some of the other letters were important. And
Right?
so but I've got to take it in, and I'm just like, please don't crash. I need to buy a whole new system. But I'm like you, it's
I
hard to do it.
it's like with cars, I buy good cars. When I buy computers, I buy lemons.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that there was like this ongoing kind of feud against, I want to say, as a Microsoft person and a like the GMC guy, was the car guy and the computer guy, and it was this insult, started with an insult against computers, and it went back and forth. There was a whole thing about, gosh, if all you had to do was restart your car and it would keep going and it would fix everything. All you have to do is turn it off and on, right? Like you can your computer. Restart fixes everything, right?
Well,
It's pretty
if you think about it very much like even today where cars are
oh, they are.
like I'm gonna be one of those old schoolers where we haven't really had a car built, like an actual car,
Mhm.
like since the 80s. Because think about it, like you driving around a computer, if you think about it, like there's always moving pieces to every little thing. And I mean, you seem like somebody that you're in a career where there
Mhm.
are little pieces that are moving for every little thing.
There definitely are. There definitely are. The
They're
best
intricate.
piece of equipment that I've bought recently is a Remarkable 2. And it's a
Okay.
tablet that takes handwritten notes, and you
Oh
can convert them
wow.
to text and export them. But I am a handwritten note taker. I'm old school because I'm old. And I would, so maybe I'm at an appointment with you, and then I see somebody else and we get in a discussion and I want to take notes, but I didn't bring any of like a notebook. And so I have the notes from your meeting. So I take those out and I take notes on the back of those for this person,
Right.
or I grab some scrap of paper from my purse or a receipt or a post-it note.
Or a
So when I
business
sit
card that you've had in
down,
there for 7
right,
years. Yeah.
right. And so I take handwritten notes on those and I sit down to work on that person's marketing strategy. And I got to round up all these damn little notes. And where was I when I wrote that down? Let me think about it. I was at Jimmy's Egg and da da da. And here's the, and go hunt up whatever little, it was so frustrating. And so I had a one-to-one with this woman and she had one of those. And so now I have a notebook for every client and I take all the notes in that. So when I sit down to work on that client's stuff, I can open it up and there's all my notes. And I tell you what, I should be an affiliate marketer for those people because I sell more of those. I it it's so important. If the battery lasts like 2 weeks, and so I forget to charge it, and I'll be at a meeting, and then it will be dead, and I'm like lost. I don't even
I'm
have a
dead.
pen. I don't.
I'm dead. No, I feel.
Yeah,
Honestly, I feel you because like it's something that a lot of even for viewers and listeners, you don't necessarily take into account where there is a lot of back end when it comes to this. Because primarily what you're dealing with from a business point with podcasting, there's a lot of different pieces. Like this podcast is very conversation based, but even though it's conversation based, there's still notation, there's editing, there's production, there's publishing, there's broadcasting. There's a lot of different pieces
there's
that
prep
come to
work.
play.
There's prep work.
Prep work,
You have to prep,
yeah.
you know what I mean? If you want to ask good questions, you have to prep it. I mean, I sometimes am up late doing that because it's the last thing on my list. And so I definitely have that issue myself.
It's also finding a very comfortable middle ground because podcasting in and itself, like I'm talking like even with marketing, right? When
Hmm.
you market podcasting, specifically when you're dealing with even artists or maybe even entrepreneurs, like people that have small businesses, when you start to get into a niche, there's going to be a lot of people that are trying to do the same things, right? But
Yep.
you can work with that niche to really create something that's incredible, showcase that business, showcase the person that started it, like their story, who they are, why they're doing this, like what is so interesting about what they're doing. I feel to highlight those things, you need the right mindset and like brain ethics. Let's do that. Brain ethics.
Brain ethics. That's a
Brain
good one.
ethics.
I've got some brain ethics for you. I have to say that as a general rule, I reject authority. I'm not I'm not opposed to, obviously I'm ethical and I have integrity, but those are my ethics and don't push your ethics off on me. That's kind of how
Keep
I
your
feel about
opinions
it.
to yourself.
No, I'll
Keep
listen to
them.
your opinions. I'm very open minded. I'll
Oh
listen
yeah.
to your opinions, but once you start scheming and trying to convince me and and manipulate me and convert me or try to change fundamentally who I am or push your beliefs off on me, then that's definitely a hard pass for me. But I'm open minded. I can be convinced to change my mind about something.
Right. It's also where it's also the effort of the other individual. Where if you're crying, and what we're talking about like it's a collaboration when you're
Yes,
doing this, and the other person has to also be able to reciprocate. So if you're dealing with somebody that is not putting their 100%, not putting all their effort, and they're like, well, yeah, I want to be able to showcase, but you're not putting any of the work. Like you're going to end up with a half-ass product, and it's in the mindset where you can get all the help that you want, but you have to be the one
to
that
do it.
like exactly, yeah,
Right. So we talk a lot about, we had did a whole series on mindset on my podcast, and we talk a lot about, one, recognizing what mindset you're kind of in, right? You got to be in the right mindset for what you're doing. Really, entrepreneurial mindset suits really well for just even general life because they're so flexible. They don't get bogged down in problems or obstacles. They hit it and then go on to something else, you
right.
know? And if you can do life that way, that's good. I've got to mix in some, like, I think people get stuck trying to have a positive mindset all the time. And you can't. That's ridiculous. No one can maintain a positive mindset all the time. I mean, I'm super optimistic and positive, but it would be foolish to say it's toxic to be positive all the time. It is. It's toxic to be
You're
positive all the
blind.
time.
See, this is one of those things that I cannot stand closed-minded people for the life of me. Like I'm the type of person, I'm very open to have conversations, even with somebody that has very different opinions of myself. I can't stand close-minded people for that very reason. It's like you're refusing to hear anything else except what you feel is acceptable. So, and I'm not trying to like bash or anything, but a lot of that kind of stems even pertaining to like entertainment and media, where there is a closed perspective of this is what we do and this is how we do it. Here's the reality check that doesn't apply on an individual scope. You can't apply that to individuals. Everybody has their own. Can you imagine a band where every fucking person was exactly the same, played exactly the same? Would you listen to that band? Would you pay? Let me ask you, would you pay $200 to go to their concert? No.
No, no.
No.
But you have to remember though that our whole system in the United States is set up to make perfect little worker bees. The Henry Ford 40-hour work week, all of that is to set up for manufacturing and to make us all perfect little worker bees. And it's not set up for creative people. And now we're in this whole mess of right fighting. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. And it's a distraction off of what the real issues are. And there's nothing more infuriating than a closed minded person that that thinks they're open minded. I've had
Oh
this.
God.
I have had
AKA
this. Just
AKA woke people. Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
I'm a very social liberal. I want them up out of my business, up out of my body, up just stay. Don't tell me what to do. I don't like people telling me what to do. But I'm a
It's
fiscal
very totalitarian.
conservative. I'm also a fiscal conservative though. And so don't be spending my money on a bunch of bullshit. Okay? I don't want my money spent on that. It's part of the inflation problem in the United States is the devaluation of the dollar. So, just like in Mexico, the dollar spends more than pesos, right? Well, we are doing that. So, see how everything's becoming so expensive in there. But honestly, I don't care to really argue with the extremes of either side of the party, and I can piss them both off at will.
I I'm one of
But
those. I'm
the
not
the
on
people,
I'm not on either side. I really am
me
not.
either. It's not supposed to be about sides, and I think our elected officials have forgotten that when they run for office, they represent their party, but when they're elected, they represent us all. And that doesn't mean shove your doctrine down everybody's throat and suddenly we all have to be Republican because there's a Republican office. Now we all have to act. It doesn't work that way. And we're not
Yeah,
supposed to
I
be obstinate and
yeah,
completely just, I'm not going to listen at all to any of your ideas because I'm not getting my way. That's not
yeah.
why we elected them. But the liberal person who refuses to listen to anyone's beliefs or point of views that is different than theirs is just as closed-minded, right? I said, no, you are closed minded about your liberal views. It's the same difference. Open minded is I am accepting of everyone's views. That means that the fundamental Christian, the fundamental Islam, all of those people can believe anything that they want, but they don't have the right to force me to believe the same as them. It's not a character flaw that we believe differently. We're better because of our differences. Listen, Americans, when we
Yeah.
unite, are unstoppable. So you have to
Yeah, I
think about who wins by having us bicker all the damn time. We're being manipulated by propaganda and everybody's just like, I'm so mad. And they're not even mad at us.
no, it's really it's interesting for me because I I'm a libertarian, not politically. I'm just a libertarian. And whenever I say that, the number one like people that don't are not familiar, the number one thing they're like, "Oh, you're a liberal." I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I am a libertarian, whereas I am a conservative that comes from the left side." Now, I also come from a religious background. So, I am not a religious person. Am I the type of person that would sit down, for example, with a rabbi or a priest or somebody like I have my best friend is Christian and I have her mom talk to me about the gospels and different things. Do I believe in that? No. But to me, she's an important part of my life. And I know that's an important part of her life. And I'm curious. I'm curious if that's important to you. I'm kind of a little interested to know about it. We're all about the artist. That is the whole purpose of this podcast, period. And you have a really valuable tool. You can share this with artists, people that are creative, someone that can enjoy this podcast and really enjoy the experience of Lost in the Groove. So, with that, let's jump back to today's episode, shall we? And I'm going to go even one step further. As a gay person, I refuse to accept labels more than the ones that I register to myself. And I refuse to be the person that stands there and to accept false ideology, people that are bored ass out of their fucking mind that are my age. Go get a job. Go get a job. That's my advice. Stop
Or a
forcing your
purpose.
opinions on people and let us live our goddamn life. That's all I'm asking. That's all
Hey,
I'm asking.
I'm a firm believer in, I think that I would be considered a libertarian because I'm so get up out of my business, get up out of all of my business, get up
My
out of my
land, my life,
business, get
my
up out of my,
choice.
yes, my
This is
body,
why
my
this is
choice.
why this shit not being federally legal in this country pisses the fuck out of me. It's because you let us drink alcohol. You let us smoke tobacco. Okay? You let us inject opiates into our body. You let us do all of this shit. That's perfectly legal. But this
Yeah,
no.
that
No, 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 no.
I mean, there's no safe level of alcohol. There's not. It's straight up a neurotoxin. There's
No.
no safe level of
None.
it. And here's the thing: we're commodities to them. 100% commodities, especially if you're a woman. You're a commodity to the highest echelon of government and the companies that run America. 100% we are, and it pisses me off a lot. I really
I
dislike labels,
I
and I
feel you.
dislike I I mean I don't like that our we're so in a box and everybody's like I'm a very creative person. I have a
Same.
son. I have five children, and
Oh
I have one of
wow.
my sons is a pure creative. I'm older than I look.
I,
my
honey
oldest,
child, you look good, girl. Just keep at it. I don't know what you're
my
doing, but you're aging la
my
femme one.
my oldest child is 30.
Hold the
So
fucking brakes. Your oldest kid
yeah,
is 30?
yeah. She's 30. She's a doctor, and
Wow. Look at
yeah.
you. Okay.
So
I
yeah,
see you. I see you.
I'm in my fit. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm 57 years old. I am a I was born in the 60s, so
You're
I feel
50. No way.
yep,
What?
I am 57.
I
So
honestly, if you didn't tell me, I would have probably guessed 38, maybe
oh
like 40,
wow,
41.
that's very kind of you to
Realistically, like
say.
being unrealistic, being like, hey, how you doing? You look 28, Hey. You know those guys. You know those guys.
Yeah. Oh
And then they're
yeah.
like, "Yeah,
And
I'm already taken."
and all of those, young guys have some kind of mom fantasy thing happening, and
Cougar
I'm
fantasy,
like,
that's what it is.
that's what it is. And I'm like, I'm not going to be your fantasy person. And they're like, no, I want to date you. I'm like, seriously, I have a child, 5 years. I have, we were out singing karaoke one time. Christina, who's my podcast partner, who is 38, and her husband and I was third wheel. And we were singing karaoke, and there was this kid who was sitting, it's a really small place. Like by the end of the night, you're singing karaoke and there's people standing like all around you,
I feel
like share the
yeah.
mic. We're all right by each other. And anyway, this kid is hitting on me. And I was like, okay, let me just shut this down right now. I'm not going to be your mom fantasy or whatever it is. You're way too young for me, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, no, no, I'm not too young for you. How old do you think I am? I said, I'm going to say 25. And he goes, how did you know? And I said, because I have 5 children in their 20s. And you're like right dab in the middle
How old?
of
Wait. How old do you think I am?
you. Gosh, it's so hard to tell. I would
I
say
know.
you're probably in your 20s.
Yeah, I am in my 20s.
Yeah, see? Now I only have 4 kids in my 20s because my oldest one is 30 now.
Which again is still very
Yeah,
much remarkable. But you know, I love that perspective too because in many ways, okay, so you're born late 60s.
66.
So you're technically you're technically Gen X.
I am Gen X.
Oh,
100% I'm Gen X.
yeah. By the way, hands down,
100% Gen X.
my favorite generation of people. Like, I'm sorry, I love some millennials. Literally, some of the
We
coolest people in my life ever have been Gen X. Warm,
I am
open, honest, straightforward. Like,
we seriously, when you hear all of the little TikTok videos about our parents kicking us out, not letting us in the house, 100% true. We were out in the streets. I was in a small town, so we're out, we're riding our bikes, we're lighting fires, we're, we're exploring and climbing trees and playing football, everything outside. And it was horrible if it was so hot you couldn't stay outside because your friends couldn't come in your house. I can remember standing outside my friend's house, like a few of us, waiting while they go in to see if we can come in and go to the bathroom and get a drink out of the garden hose. And that is all freaking true, every ounce of it. And uh, the commercial every single night on every news channel at 10 p.m. would come on,
where's your
and they
kids?
had some, yes, and they had stars, movie stars and stuff that came on and said it too. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where
Where's your
your children
kids?
are? Because they freaking didn't know. Now my mom was very strict. She knew where I was. I think she had some kind of secret GPS planted on me or something. She knew all the time, but I'm telling you, all of those stories are true. And I am a very independent person,
Yeah.
anyway, without all of that. But I played chicken with a pocket knife, where you do, and then you move your feet closer and closer and closer together while they try to aim it in between. All of those things, we did all of those things, crazy things on a motorcycle, and just so unsupervised, and
It's
no way to get in touch of us. We were gone. They were driving the streets. They had to go drive the streets and look for us, or call other people's home phones, the landlines, and ask if somebody had seen us, or if they're here, or is
this is
this
from the
other
source,
person
by the way,
here.
people. I'm just telling you. Like this is a
I
person
was
that actually
there.
was like the source.
I was there, and I don't know how it was in the city. I was in a really small town, but I listened to this stuff on TikTok just like everybody else and laugh until my stomach hurts because it's so true. It is just so true.
It's also something that's really interesting, which a lot of people don't necessarily see. Like, if you look even within, like the gay community, a lot of the survivors, because unfortunately it's a lot of survivors. Like, people, particularly born around your time, a lot of them died of
Hmm.
AIDS in the 80s. And some of those people that have survived, they are the most creative and talented drag queens and performers and artists you've ever seen in your life.
Yes.
We know one. His name is RuPaul.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. They used to have some really good drag shows here in Oklahoma City, and a couple of years
Yeah.
ago on New Year's Eve, my sister and I were looking for something fun to do, and they were having this masquerade ball, and so
Those are
we
the
decided
the oh my
to
god.
go.
Those are
And
fun.
we were there super dressed up on New Year's Eve, and they had the whole show, and they had like the Miss Gay Oklahoma
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was going on to nationals, and she was there, and we had a really good time. It was really fun. A lot too much to drink. We
Remember
Ubered
about
out.
alcohol. It works in any
I
dose.
know we did. Well, I'm a sucker for champagne. I love
I
champagne, and so New
feel
Year's Eve
you.
just
Frozen rosé.
so
Girl, frozen
good.
rosé. Yes.
Oh, I haven't had that.
You haven't had frozen
No, I
rosé?
love brut. No, I love a brut, but yeah,
What's a
I
brute?
love champagne. Brut is like a type of champagne. It's not sweet.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so like a rosé is going to have a little bit of a sweetness to it.
Yeah.
And if you get like an Asti Spumante or a extra dry, that's very sweet. You wouldn't think so. I've gotten it before. I can remember getting it thinking this will be really good. It won't be sweet. It's extra dry. And that means sweet. I don't know how that can mean sweet, but it does.
I'm a dry
And I
wine
like some,
person.
yeah. So see, it's the same. The Champagne of Brut is a dry champagne, so it's
I
not
don't like
super
sugar
sweet.
in wine. It throws me
Mm-mm.
off. I like dark, rich Bordeaux. Okay. It has that
Yeah.
subtle burnt notes, almost like wood bark
Mm-hmm.
with like cinnamon.
Like that whole earthy kind of yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
little bit of a wine connoisseur.
I
Just
I get the tannins get my sour glands when I drink red wine or sour wine.
mhm.
My daughter loves a cab, right? She's just all about a
I love
Cabernet. And
Cabernet
if we would
Sauvignon.
go
Oh my
out,
god.
yeah,
Yes.
she wants the cab. We go out, she gets a cab. I get a Pinot Noir,
Of
because it
course.
doesn't affect me like a cab does. And again, they bring it out, and I know immediately that the bartender thinks we don't know the difference between a cab and a Pinot Noir, because he's given me a cab, and she's got a cab, and I know this is a cab because of the stabbing knife pain in my salivary glands. Can you
Yeah,
send us
because
back
Pinot
and have him
Noirs are
actually pour the Pinot Noir, please?
they're sweet. Yeah, they're I don't know.
They're
I'm
not
kind of
really
weird.
sweet. They're kind of bitter, but they don't have the sour that a cab has that hits it. And I've heard, and maybe
It
you
feels like a
know,
ring. That's what it feels like in my mouth. It feels like a ring that's put on. I don't know how to explain that, but that's what it is. It's
a
like a ring
ring,
on my tongue. It's like somebody put like a ring, like this, like very
like
thin.
a circular ring,
Yeah.
or okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool. I've heard that kind of about Scotch. Like the
I
people
can't
that
drink Scotch.
are really big. Oh no, it makes me like, how some people say tequila gets them crazy.
Yeah,
Scotch.
any kind of
For me,
whiskeys,
it's
cognac,
Scotch.
scotch, all of that stuff, I get crazy.
Well, I can do
Crazy.
tequila. Um,
Oh, I
I can
love
do
tequila.
tequila, but you give me scotch, and I have lost my mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
I'm like that
scotch
crazy
is all
ex
I
bitch
know.
that's like next door that's like, "Why did you take my dog?" You know what I'm
Here's
talking
a
about?
Gen
Like
X.
just the
Yes.
water, like mascara all over, like the lipstick that's now on the cheek.
Yep. I do know. It
I
reminds
do
me.
not want to be that person tonight.
No, not
No.
ever.
Never. Brittany,
Never.
please. I'm calling her Brittany.
Brittany.
Brittany. Listen, I live out in South
Oh.
Florida, and the amount of Bridget, Janet, Alora, Donna, Elise,
Some of
Gilliana.
those some of those are kind of Gen X kind of names. Some of them are. I love
These
it
girls
when
are like in their 20s, and they literally, like, I work in a cafe, and they literally come up and they're like, "Can I have a white cat latte, please?" And they look I'm just like, they look half dead. It's like,
are they on like
"Hi.
Xanax? I'm
Hi."
like,
I think so. They're on I'm like, "Hi. Hello. Hello." But they're like zombies. And they pretty much order the same things.
Manchurian Candidate, Stepford Wives, where they're
I don't
all,
know. It feels like as if people have become so unsocial that the social becomes the
yeah,
unsocial.
maybe, or I think it's that's everybody wants to be like one another, and that's their thing right now. You know what I mean?
I like to
They're
be the weirdo that screams in the middle of a show. That's me.
I not me. I actually have had to overcome this. I'm a Scorpio, and we're mysterious, and we don't like attention. And yet here I am getting attention, and I have had to get something I've had to conquer a little bit. Just my wanting to go kind of run and hide every now and then. I do always have to recharge, man. It can be it's very draining to be the friendliest, charmingest Deborah that exists so often.
I'm a Capricorn. So
Oh,
I
RBF.
when this is I'm dead serious. Like this is what makes me socialize. Like generally I like to be alone at home, either editing this podcast or watching an old TV show like The Love Boat or The Mary Tyler Moore Show. Yeah, I like
Oh,
them.
yeah.
Or
So
like The
one of
Jeffersons or Sanford
my
and
oldest
Sons.
son is a Capricorn. He was born January 4th.
January
He's my
18th.
stepson that I raised, and
Oh
he
wow.
he's not a super social guy. He never has been. And I raised him when we got together. Our boys were both two. They're 4 months apart, and now they're 26. But we raised them together, and they're really good kids. Uh, but he
You
is
sound like it.
definitely more of an introvert. He was an athlete, but so he was kind of show offy a little bit because in that athletic sense.
Right.
But he is definitely more kind of sit back and check everything out. So, do you know what like your moon sign or your rising sign are?
I don't, but I do know like it's kind of interesting because whenever I say Capricorn, I kind of sometimes get like that weird look. And I feel like specifically with my personality, I am very much an introvert, but when I am out in the open, I try to be like a very kind and caring person. I like to listen and be there for people. In kind of the gay world, we call it kind of the mother complex. I can be
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
motherly. Yeah.
I'm the oldest daughter and fiercely independent. So, I very much had a take care, fix everything. I can fix this. Let's make everybody else happy kind of personality,
Yeah,
that
I
people
like to be a problem solver.
pleasing.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally am a problem solver. In fact, if you come to me and you're like, Deborah, I just really need to talk to somebody, you're just something weighing heavy on your heart, I will listen and I will be supportive. But the third time we're talking about it, Dave, we need to be talking about solutions. It gives me anxiety to not be able to solve that problem and to have it constantly being brought up to me.
I had with Carissa, she's my best friend, and we do American Groove together. She was like had a problem with her job and she needed to get another job and she needed to redo her resume and she was freaking out. And I said, she kept on sending me things, oh, like what I'm supposed to do. I'm like, I've had enough. Just send me an email with your resume. I will come up with something and help you out. Da 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 da. Going on. Just send me an email. And I did this like 3 times. She finally sent me the email. I spent like 3 days because I had a bunch of stuff going on, and I like did the resume for her. And I sent her back a message, and then a few days later, like she responded and she got a few interviews, and she's like, "Dave, thank you." And I said, "You're welcome." Like honestly, sometimes in certain situations, the way to solve them is just take the load off the person just a little, as much as you can
Yes.
help. And sometimes that's what it is. You
There's a
can't.
fine line between helping somebody and stealing their chance to solve their karma, right? I'm always like, the more you go rescue somebody, the more you are preventing them from solving their own, healing their own karma to a certain extent, but not in that the resume thing. I'm sure that's not, but in a lot of sense. And
It
sometimes
can
it
be.
people just I've found that a lot of people just really don't want help. They just want to bitch.
Well, I'm a
And
New Yorker, so that's just by nature. So you can't blame us.
hey man,
Uh,
you bitch too much. Here's the thing. The universe doesn't identify what's good thoughts and what's bad thoughts and what's positive and what's not. What you think about it gives you. So you notice problems seem to follow people around and they keep
yeah,
having the same problems because they just do nothing but focus on their problems. And so all of this thought, they're like, oh, look, Dave's focusing on car problems again. He needs some more.
yeah. Hilarious you bring that because I actually have dealt with car problems. Like I have a Mustang, and I've had two tires that I've had to replace like within a month span. One blew out, and then the other one like completely lost air. So those were two very stressful situations that just had more stressful situations on top of it. And then you just like look out and you're like, and you want to hit me harder, honey? Because like you've it's it's the understanding honestly where the universe doesn't really give a shit about you.
No.
It's there's going to be bad things in your life, and you've got like this is just my perspective. You got two options. Option number one, you be the person that makes that your trauma story and your
Mm-hmm.
biography. Good luck, Madonna. Um, the other one, the other one being, the other one being where you say, okay, this is hard. I may have never dealt with this before, but how can I deal with this so I can be a better person and not let this weigh me down?
I tell my kids, I said, listen, bullshit happens to everyone. No one is immune. We all have shit that happens in our life that's disappointing, that's infuriating, that's frustrating, that's upsetting, all of those things. How you deal with it determines your character. Who are you going to be? Are you going to be Freddy Freak Out that freaks out, can't solve anything? Are you going to be, who are you going to be? How are you going to deal with it? And I'm such a problem solver that we spent so much time solving problems together that hopefully I left them in a good place where they could do that. But you're exactly right. It How are you going to deal with it? What are you going to do? Are you going to learn from it? And I will tell you, there are lots of things in my past that I am definitely not proud of. Things that when my marriage ended and my mom died and all the things came crashing down on me, and you come to the realization that you've just been living a ghost of a life, that you've been, raising your family, you sacrifice all the parts of yourself, and it's easy to blame other people, and I'm the champ of being hard on myself, so spent some time being hard on myself over it, and I will tell you that today I wouldn't change any of it. I'm grateful for every single bit of it, even the stuff that I'm definitely not proud of. But I as there's things in there I am proud of, but I wouldn't change it because it all led me to this place, the here and now where I am today. And I like it here. And I wouldn't be here. If any of that changed, I wouldn't be here. So all the bad, everything I did, you look back and it'd be easy to think about regrets of if I would have just done this, if I would have stood up for
Yeah,
myself, if I would have started my business then. And the past
coulda, woulda,
doesn't
shoulda, but you
exist.
didn't.
Yeah, and the past doesn't exist. The only place the past exists is in your mind. And
Hmm.
so if you're living there, you're living in something that's not reality. That's not reality. The only thing that's reality is the here and now. And tomorrow's wishes and yesterday's regrets, they don't really matter. That's why manifestation is all about the here and now. I'm so grateful that I already have it. It's not, I wish I have it tomorrow. Can I please have it tomorrow? Please bring it to me tomorrow. It's, I already have it and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you very much. I'm grateful. Thank you. And now I've already got it. And that's how manifestation works. But sitting, and you have to do the work. It's not like I can just sit back and
Hey, it's Dave, and I quickly just wanted to jump in and say if you've been enjoying the podcast and enjoying this episode, if you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'll be so greatly appreciated. Because here's the thing, someone might read that review and make the choice if they want to listen to the podcast. You get to help grow this podcast with us. How fucking cool is that? Let's jump back to today's episode.
say, God, I need 100,000 podcast listeners and I don't have to do any work to get it. That doesn't work that way. You do the work, you just don't worry about if it's going to come or not. You assume it
No,
already is there.
I I've said this before, but when my dad died, it was a very surreal experience because I was telling you earlier, like I was dealing with moving, and I'm currently moving in with a roommate. I currently live alone, and my last roommate was during COVID, like the very beginning. It was like around April when I was putting my dad in the ground. And just like a little bit of a backstory, he basically didn't let me come back to the apartment because of COVID, and he had asthma. So I basically told him, I'm not paying you rent. He's like, well, you have to pay me rent regardless. And I said, no, because I can't live there.
I'm not going to pay if I can't live there.
So the day that my dad passed away, and then the day that we buried him, literally that day, he sent me a text message for rent. Gets better. So I'm Jewish, and we have a thing which is called 7 days where you sit for Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not religious by any nature, but to me that is something that's important. You know, like my
I'm
dad did it
sure
for
it was
his
important to
father.
your dad.
Yeah.
Yes, that is
So,
it's what it is. My mom got the full Catholic 3-day extravaganza.
so on the first day, he basically messaged me, "I'm throwing out your stuff and putting your cat in a shelter." So I had to literally fly out to California from New York, get my cat, get all of my things, and then fly back. So basically, I missed most of it. I only sat for like 2 days. That taught me something so valuable, which is where, unfortunately, not everybody, there are people that even when, you probably can relate to this, when you're going through that pain, when you're going through that pain and have somebody that can be so and
I have
emotionless like a
something,
machine.
yeah, vindictive even. So when my
Yes.
mom wasn't so my marriage broke up at the end of 2020 and we came to an agreement at the beginning like January of 2021 on all this stuff. But he would never finalize. Okay. So all year long he still doesn't talk to me. I'm the villain in his story. And which is fine. I'll be the villain. But
You'll be a cool ass,
all
you'll be a cool
a
ass
villain.
villain, walking that fashion show.
Oh,
Oh,
that's right. And so all year long, I can't even get him to talk to me or finalize the paperwork. We had an agreement, but I couldn't get him to finalize anything. So my mom, I called the ambulance for her, and she ends up being on hospice in the heart hospital about 3 weeks later. And I was married to Caleb for 19 years. We raised 5 children together. He didn't come and say goodbye to my mother. And I got an email from him too. And he wanted to renegotiate our deal. And I'm sure he thought that I would be distracted and would just agree to anything so I wouldn't have to deal with it. But I was not distracted. And so I said, if you want to renegotiate our deal, settle up, cowboy. I'd love to. I would love to have my half of all of our savings that you gambled away. I'd love to have that. We can add that to my list. I'd love to have the money that you spent on the marijuana business without my permission. I'd love to have all of that back. And our retirement savings that you also gambled. I'd love to have that back. And I see your list of all of your expenditures, construction expenditures on the house before it's sold. And I'm happy you spent that. Here's my list, $2,300 more than yours. So if you want to renegotiate, let's go. But you best remember who the fuck you're dealing with. Why? I mean, he loved me for 20 years. I'd have paid cash money. He didn't love me for like a year before that, but you know what I mean. To be cold in that instance, it was just like, and I had already lost so much respect for him the way he had treated me up to that point. But really, the same. I mean, it's horrible that your roommate did that to you, but honestly, unbelievable.
I
And
know.
to have someone and you have that be their character towards you, somebody that you lived so much of your life with, it it I do, I wasn't in a good place anyway. I was very close to my mom, and I took care of her. She lived with me part of the time, and yeah, I'm sure he thought that I would be distracted, but karma's tough,
It is.
and I just they'll get theirs, however that happens.
It was.
And but we didn't renegotiate our deal. We didn't go to court. He didn't get any extra money. He didn't get to change anything. And so that's the way it is.
That's the way it
And
is.
I miss my mom. You miss your dad, huh?
I do. It's weird because we were starting to rekindle things to a certain degree,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad was Moroccan, and he immigrated to the states in the early '70s on a student, and
So did he speak French?
he spoke French, he spoke Hebrew, he spoke Spanish, and he spoke Yiddish.
Do you speak any of them?
I speak Hebrew to a certain degree.
I always was like my sister is married to a man from Zaire, and he speaks French and Swahili and a bunch of languages, and he didn't teach any of it to her. She didn't learn any of it, my nephew, he didn't learn any of it, and I'm just like, man, that is just such a loss
My
to
dad
not pass
didn't
on something.
my dad didn't teach any of us, and it's been a problem because a lot of my family, they live overseas and most of them don't even speak English.
Ah, that would be
So,
rough.
yeah. But
You got to get Babel, man.
oh god. Well, it's kind of weird cuz like I live in a part of the states where there's an abundance of Israelis, and it's just hilarious to kind of mess with them cuz I kind of look like kind of Spanish. Like I kind of could pass for a lot of different things, and just me just being like shalom achim ma kore. Akol beseder. Like that just means like how are you? Is everything fine? And they're just like
I think you do look a little bit maybe more Moroccan than you do Jewish.
yeah, it turns out that like I don't know if you've done this before, but I did an ancestry DNA. Oh, I did.
I
So I
have.
found out that I'm 54% Mediterranean
Hey.
and I am 23% Central Italian.
Oh
Hey,
wow.
buongiorno.
Can you trace that back in your family tree?
So, not really. The only way of tracing that is there were four brothers that stem from my family tree dating back before the Inquisition. One of them went to Italy. So
Hmm.
I'm like a crossbreed from the one in Morocco and then the one in Italy.
Yeah, because he would have been with Italians, you know what I mean?
Right.
But for you to be that much of one,
And the other.
it
Yeah.
yes, there's got to be an Italian pretty recent for you to be that much of it. That's not something from before the Inquisition. It would be so washed out that It's very curious, isn't
It
it?
could be from my mom's side, but my mom is third generation American. She a
Well,
Yankee.
so
She a real Yankee.
I mine, I'm 100% European,
Wow.
um, mostly
Surprised?
kind of Northern European, and I don't have anything soul or fun or some
Scandinavian?
boring. I'm a little bit Scandinavian. I was 27% Irish, and I'm Irish on both sides of my family. My mom are the tall, black-haired Irish Catholics, and my dad, the short, red-haired Irish Protestants. And then my maiden name is Bowers, and I'm back to the OG. I'm never changing my name again. And that is very German. And all of the Bowers immigrated in through Pennsylvania with William Penn and that weird Quaker, whatever religion. And I can remember my grandparents, they spoke Pennsylvania Dutch, which is Deutsch. It's a form of German, but that really originated back then. And I can trace. I'm a daughter of the American Revolution. Conrad Bowers, my ancestor, fought in the Revolutionary War. So the nerd. I really am a nerd. If
I can tell.
I didn't look cute, I would have unmatching wrinkled clothes and a pocket protector. That's how nerdy that I really am.
I feel you.
I,
Uh,
I really am. So I've done a lot of genealogy research. So I was 49%. They couldn't tell the difference between it was French and German, right there at the border. It's kind of like Oklahoma, Texas. How do you know, right? And when I looked at the immigration documents, they would ask like where you're immigrating from, and it would say France or Germany. It would say France, and then it would say, well, what's your ancestry? And they were German. And so there was a little bit of that. But my grandma on my mom's side's maiden name was Shoemate, which is from de Charlemagne, and it is the French. And so they were like the short gap tooth people. And my grandma had like a big gap tooth, like Michael Strahan has that gap, or,
mhm.
Diane Cannon. And my sister has it. My mom had it. But that is the French part of it, and then English, Scandinavian, and then the Irish. But I look like the Irish part of my family. That
Yeah,
surname is
you
Kimberly.
do. And I have to say, like Irish people, they're okay. Specifically, Irish people from Ireland, because I've had like
Hmm.
some. They're some of the coolest people you ever meet, and they're- they grew up in the most boring and basic conditions, but they have the most coolest stories. And it's kind of the same thing with people from like northern England, because I've been to Manchester and it's beautiful, but everything kind of looks the same, and everybody kind of
Yeah.
sounds the same, and everybody's kind of drunk the same.
Now I did like the way, so my ex, he had a friend that was from Ireland, but he lived here in the
Like
United
real
States. But he had
Irish.
such a yeah, and he had a great accent. And he at the time I was running this construction company, which is a really good example of just because you can do something well doesn't mean you should be doing it. And um
Life lesson and
and
life hack.
he was doing a little side work and making some extra money. At the time he was like a middle school principal or something, but he was in his
Okay.
40s, and it's not like he was in super shape or anything. He kind of had a beer belly. And so he calls me one day and he goes, hey Deborah, I'm not going to be able to get that for you today. I said, oh no, what happened? He goes, well, I was doing a little skateboarding and I've broken my elbow. And he goes, this whole big thing. I was like, I would have really loved to have seen that, man.
I want that recording. Can we get that recording, please?
It would be so
Be
fantastic.
amazing.
We're the generation of Jackass, the original, right? When all the craziness and yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And here's the thing too. It's even where there are a lot of people that have a lot of ancestry, whether it be European or from the English Isles or Scandinavia, it's still history. and it's still incredible history. Where that is what it is to be American. I am first
It
generation
is.
Moroccan and third.
Probably third generation Italian. So that means look how far back, you don't have to go very far to find your Italian, right?
Hey, say, I make the pasta. I make the pasta with the meatballs and the peas.
Yes.
I
One
was
of the
in
things that
Rome.
struck me that, oh yeah?
And it was weird because I did get, funny enough. Now that I was thinking about it, did get mistaken for Italian like once or twice. Might I add you, I didn't open up my mouth, and then when I opened it, they probably were like, "Oh, he's Americano."
The thing that's really struck me, I
Yeah.
think, the most about genealogy research is when you get that whole kind of tree put together, right? So, like the Bowers name, it starts, with my dad, and then it just keeps going and keeps going up that side, the Bowers, and it stretches on this one little branch, right? And it comes off of that, but this one little branch kind of stays the same, and that's what we really focus on. And look how much of the tree just just no one pays attention to it because of all the mothers and the moms. They've got dads on their side too, so the majority of the tree no one even thinks about, but you're just as related to each and every one of those people as you are the person that you carry that surname from. And so it's just a vast amount of history that we don't even know about, because I didn't even know I was related to the people that founded Block Island right outside of Rhode Island. That my ancestors are the ones that settled that, and their names are on the little plaque there. And
Oh my
there's just
god.
so much of
That
that
there's so
that's
much
all on the
detail.
moms. Yes. And the moms, we just discount all of it.
We have the
Really, we do.
we have something interesting like in our family where my sister is older than me. She was born in 78. I was born in 99. She relatively is kind of like my dad, but I mean obviously she's female and has her own characteristics. I predominantly look like my dad. She has a kid that looks like my dad. So there's so far like three, and I look exactly like my father did when he was my age. I've shown pictures. People are like, "Oh my god!" And sometimes I've actually scared my mom like once or twice because I was there late and I walked in and she's like, Shlomo?" I was like, "No, no, 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 it's me." And she's like, snap right back in, and I was just like,
Uh,
"Damn."
so I don't look like my mother at all.
No, yeah,
Um, my mom had straight black hair, and
very Catholic,
yeah, she was
very like this
very
all day.
my
Yeah,
yeah, she was
yeah.
very she's a little bit taller than me, but I mean her hair. I have curly red hair. My dad had curly red hair, and it's kind of a thing with the Bowers. So my grandpa, there were 11 children. He had 10 brothers and sisters, and the mom had red hair, and none of the 11 had red hair, right? They all had black hair, but they all had one kid that had red hair, and they're known as the Bowers redheads, and my dad was one of those. So technically I'm a Bowers redhead, and it's such a massive family, right? To have 11 children, 2 generations ago. So all of that is spread out. I've got family everywhere. I don't even know who they are. And my mom was 5 of 10 kids. So, but I'm close to most of them. My dad died when I was really young. So I'm not super close. And he was 20 years older than my mom. And he'd be 103 if he were alive. And so my first cousins are my age, or my mom's age. And it's just a little bit disconnect, I think, from that. But I always feel when I'm around them like I want to stay longer. I feel a kindred with them that I just don't have a lot of relationships with that part of my family. And I always feel a kinship with them. I can actually feel the energy, when I'm around them. So it makes me want to find more of them, but that's too
Yeah.
much trouble.
No, it is, and it's weird because I feel as life has gone, even for me, where I've kind of created my own family, where I have several best friends and people that I relate and connect with. more than I connect with my own siblings, to be honest. And it's nothing to do with age. Like, my best friend is in her 30s, and I have friends in their 40s. So you don't really get to choose your family. They're chosen for you. And it's not a bad thing. It's
Well, I
just,
kind of, think that our souls, our consciousness, our spirit really chooses this path for us for a reason. And the things that make us really uncomfortable are likely the things that we need to solve. And so you maybe didn't choose to be with them, but maybe they chose to be with you and they need to solve whatever their stuff is. They came here for a purpose to solve something and to learn something. And in my experience, if I'm not on the path to learning that, the universe will fuck up your life to get you there. And I know this from experience. And I'm like, I've got this lesson. Quit teaching it to me. I've got it. I've
I
got
feel
it.
you.
I'm not going to fall for it
I know.
again.
Like, I'm not going down that scary stairs.
Well, the
Like,
good news is that you're so young that it will all mesh out. And I have friends that I have been friends with since kindergarten. And then I have friends that I met later in life. And my podcast co-host, Christina, is is maybe the best friend I've ever had. I've never had a friend quite like her. We've known each other just over a year, is all. We just really clicked. And she's younger than me. And it just really doesn't matter. You just have to, you really have to find the people that are vibrating on the same frequency as you and that are going to help you on whatever your personal journey is. And I learned that when you ask the universe or God or whoever it is for you,
Allah.
whatever it is for you, to remove things from your
Hmm.
path that are preventing you from reaching your goals and have only things and people in your life that are meant to be there to help you on this part of your journey, then you shouldn't be surprised when family members act like dickheads and bitches and blow things up around you because that's what you asked for. How else are you going to sever that relationship? How else are you going to know? You're not going to know because I'm not making the decision to do it. If I was able to get that toxic person that I love very much away from me, I would have done it already. And
Hmm.
so they make choices that force you, painful choices that hurt you and force you. And then you're like, okay. And I can remember, it hasn't been that long ago, maybe a year, when I would say that mantra again, please remove anything from my path that's keeping me from my true purpose and from reaching my goals. I would have this little thing in the back of my mind, but please don't let it be that person. Right? So still not all the way accepting of that path and where it might take me. I still had those, please don't let it be this person. And when I finally was like, I don't care who it is, just whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Just if it's preventing me from reaching my true purpose, then please remove it from my path. And man, did some shit go down.
No,
I mean,
I
in
feel
very
you.
short amount of time. Yeah, yep, the universe tested those words pretty quickly. And do you really mean it, Deborah? Do you?
Do you?
Are you
Do
gonna
you? Do
jump
you?
right
Do you?
in
Do
and
you?
fix everything? And I
Hmm.
did. I meant it, and I have stood by it. It gets easier.
I've had to, I've had to grow up really quickly. You know, I generally can come off as somebody that I may be 25, but I'm just being honest. Most
hmm
people my age are dipshits.
There are a
Like,
good portion of them that are, and people my age don't take care of themselves. That's why I look better than them.
I know.
It's just a little bit of effort, a little bit of money and effort. That's
Yeah,
it.
I know. It's
We're on this slow path to comfort death. We need to stop telling grandma not to go outside because it's cold and sit down and relax and make her comfortable. So it's like the slow, comfortable death, right? If you want to live long, you need to do new things and have new
I
experiences.
I try to think of like Betty White as the influence of what you want to be in your 90s. Like
Yes.
she drank vodka and ate hot dogs in her 90s and didn't give a shit, okay? Like she didn't
If you're
complain
in
about
your
the
90s, you
salt.
should be able to do whatever you want to do if you make it to your 90s, If I
Exactly.
can remember, my mom really wanted to have a margarita, and she was done with like the chemo. She was doing some immunotherapy, which is what saved her life. And she was talking about it to the oncologist, and the oncologist, who was this Indian woman. And so she spoke really softly, and she was like, "Well, I don't think one margarita would hurt you. I don't think you're going to go crazy, are you?" And she turned and looked at me like, I'm like, look at her. She might go crazy with a half a margarita at this point, right? I mean, she's obviously not going to pound them back, but she should be able to if she wanted to, right? I
Did she
mean, if
get
you're
the question of
90,
the day is, did she get the
Jiminy, yes, yes, she
nice?
got the margarita,
Yeah, don't when you're deprived of alcohol, especially a margarita
right?
in
When you
July.
want one.
Yeah, let's go,
I should
girls.
be somewhere on a patio drinking perfect margaritas. That's where I should be.
hmm
We should
You
be there.
know, with a guy named like Julio playing the guitar, no shirt on, just jeans and boots.
Looking all fine.
Yes, he's got like the
Maybe
the
a
cool goatee. Yeah.
mm, Rico Suave.
Oh yes. Get a little bonfire going on too, like sun's going down.
Yeah,
Oh shit!
I am
What
telling
were we
you
doing
that
again?
the
Sorry.
dating pool over 50 is pathetic. That's what I will tell you. It's a sad,
I
sad sight.
This may sound crazy, but I have been single for so much of just my teenage and adult years. I
Yeah.
like not dating. I like not. I This is gonna
I
sound
love
nuts.
living alone.
I don't know. Like this is my only roommate right now. Okay,
Well,
this.
my it's a very cute kitty. I have two dogs, and they're my children that live at home, and they're very spoiled. And one's been sitting outside the office door crying a little bit because we can't let them in because they would cry. They want me to go play with them. And I played in the garden hose with them before. Super
You
cute.
see what's going on
Cat's
over here?
lovely.
She's like, I'm done.
Yes.
I've had enough.
Cats are awesome. They can totally see dimensions that we can't see. And so I have an English Bull Terrier, and they are known to do this trancing thing where they just kind of like cats will stare off at something, and you can tell they're staring at something, but it's the wall. You can't see anything there. And um, English Bull Terriers, like the target dog with the
She
funny
does that
nose.
all the time. She'll just
Yes,
stare and there's
cats
nothing
do it.
there.
Yeah, because she can see shit you can't see.
You bitch.
100%.
You bitch.
Yep, she can. What a cute, cuddly kitty.
Oh my god. Every night, this is the rule for her to live in this apartment. Is she has to cuddle every single. If she does not, you have to start paying rent.
Uh-oh.
hmm
Well, my dogs like to sleep with me, and um, Gibbs, my bull terrier, likes to get under the covers. And they don't have a whole lot of hair. They've got real thin hair. And I will tell you, he is like a molten hot ember of charcoal. His body puts off so much heat. And the other dog I have is like a rescue, and so she's furry like a lab, and she feels cool to the touch. But Gibbs, it's like when I got him, he was just little, 6 pounds, and he would lay right here, and it was like I'm gonna light on fire from this dog. His body temperature is so
I
hot.
know.
So snuggly though. He likes to just get
I
all
feel
up
the
and
same way with
snuggle.
pugs. Like pugs, they're not that hairy, in that, but oh my god, it's like a molten rock of lava.
Yeah, it must be something about their body generating because they don't have fur. I don't know, but Gibbs will sunburn. He's all white and he doesn't have a lip. They're not meant to be in the extremities for sure. How cute. What's your kitty's name?
Her name is Twix.
Twix.
The story of the name is I had her for 3 days and I had a bunch of friends over. They were all girls, and I was high, and they were like, "You should give her a girly name," and I was like, "No." Like, "You should." And I'm like, "No." And I was eating a Twix bar. And I was like, "I'm naming her Twix." And like, "You're naming another cat after Candy?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's Twix."
What was the other one?
Her name was Snickers, but she was definitely given birth by Lilith, by the devil's wife. Like, she gave birth to this. No, I'm like, she gave birth and they put it on Earth and it was given to me. So I don't know if people believe in spiritual shit. I had once with her, I swear to you, her eyes went fully black. Fully black. Okay.
Wow.
And she started meowing, but almost a meow like there was another meow inside.
Right?
I called up a friend of mine. This was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was freaking out because she was just Lilith. If you're listening to this from the underworld, please take her back. Thank you. This one is nothing like that cat. This one is literally
Yep.
just a mush that loves to be cuddled.
My one of my college roommates, a woman named Lisa, she had this cat. She lived in Dallas after college, and this cat, man, you would wake up and it was attacking you. I mean, it like if it would just come up and jump in your lap and, and scratch your face, and she was just like the devil cat. And she got this job on a cruise ship for Royal Caribbean, and so they left the cat at her parents, and that cat, her parents had it put down while she was gone. That's how bad it was. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I mean, I never, and animals love me. This cat, she would come be super sweet, but then the next morning, I would wake up to her like scratching my face. So
Yeah,
definitely the devil cat.
listen, it's one of those things where there are good cats, but I'm being serious. I feel like they're literally offsprings from the devil.
Well,
Okay?
they are very kind of connected to the spirit world and other dimensions. They really are.
Tell me
You know
honestly,
what
have
the
you ever
thing?
seen a cat's eyes go fully black? Ever?
No, no, I don't think I have. That's pretty scary.
And I had another person that was
If
witness to
mine do
this.
that, then you know I'm really damn mad and best get out of my way.
No, but like their eyes get really wide, but their eyes don't like fully go black.
Right. I mean, they can get the other. I mean, even if their inner eyelid, because if it closes, it's white. It's not black. So even if they, yeah,
The
it's
whole the
that's
whole
weird.
eye.
Yeah, that's weird. Definitely.
But on any news, thankfully we don't have devil cats here, and I hope you don't have that either.
Not that you know of.
Not that you
Just
know.
wait. No, I'm just kidding.
Just oh my god. Black cats
I was at
beware,
my
it's your time to rise. What?
I was
And
at
then
my son's, and he has a dog, and then they had this cat, and then I noticed there was another cat, and my son says, "Yeah, he just kind of moved in. Like we opened up the door and he came in, and he just lives here now." It's my obviously my artist creative son that the other one wouldn't let a cat live there probably, but he just like, "Oh, well, he came in and he just kind of moved in and now he lives here." And so
they
they
would
have
have
this
to
extra
deal with
cat.
her. So I can say yes, but if she's says no, the answer is no.
Well, apparently they all got along, but I don't know about my dogs and the cat. Gibbs, even though he's a terrier, he just really is toy. motivated. He likes to play all the time, and he has
Little
arthritis because
tiny
they're real
dog.
muscly and rambunctious, and they're big, and he's got arthritis. But my little rescue, she's not really little either. I think she's part chocolate lab, and I think the other part is Rottweiler. But like my son found her in the ditch in the country, and
Oh my
just by
god.
herself as a tiny puppy. And so she's just grateful to be alive. She has the meanest growl, but she's got this little bark. She gets really scared and she'll go, woof. But she's got like this mean roar growl. It's kind of it's weird
The
that
whole
there's such
body
a
moves with the
disparity.
growl. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just super scary sounding.
Oh my
Yeah, the little girl next door, the gentleman that lives next door to me got engaged, and his fiance has this little girl. I don't know, she must be 5 years old, maybe. And they have a trampoline, and she jumps up and she talks to me on the up bounce, right? When her head comes up over the fence, then she'll talk to me, and she asks me about the dogs and stuff. And the other day, she asks me, "Hey, where's your husband?" And I said, "I don't have a husband." And she said, "You mean you live there all by yourself?" And I said, "Yep, I sure do." And she said, "Why?" And all the time, I'm only talking to her on the up bounce, right? So it's this real, almost disjointed conversation. And I said, "Because I want to." And she bounces a few times and then she just says, "Cool." And I'm like,
god.
yes.
Yeah.
I love
Uh,
living alone. I really like living alone. And my daughter says I'm an ambivert,
an
but
ambivert.
ambivert is like a combination of the two, introvert and extrovert. So I am really good at being an extrovert. I'm really good at working a room. I'm really good at being outgoing. I just
Oh
don't
yeah.
want to. I don't want to do it. I don't want to
No.
have to make myself go, and it's incredibly draining to me. But I'm
Mhm.
good at it. I'm really good at it, but it's really draining for me. My brother one time bet me I couldn't take a selfie with everyone at the family reunion.
Oh, that's easy. Just give me
Just I
3
was like
shots tequila and
75.
1 joint and I'm there.
I didn't even need any of that. I look like 75. It's Deborah's selfie reunion. And like the older people, I would just come up like the old guys. I'd come up around their neck and just snap a picture real quick, like come up
Mhm.
behind them and snap one. And a couple of people came up and "Hey, can I get a copy of that picture you took with my dad? He doesn't let us take his picture." I said, "You got to be sneakier then, huh?"
Whoa.
So, but
You gotta find the ways,
I
the
gotta,
reason,
yeah,
and the rhyme.
gotta make myself do it, kind of. That's why she said I'm an ambivert. Because I will
Yeah.
stay home, I will freaking hermit, and then I'll be rebellious because I've got all that pent up. But one thing that I really like to do is paint. So that helps. I
Which,
spend a lot of time kind of by myself painting.
talking of which, because we've done a lot of talking, and I know that you have a podcast. I know you're into marketing.
Hmm.
Do you want to talk about like the social links where people can find you and kind of the stuff that you've been working on
Oh,
recently?
sure. You can find me. I'm on Facebook, and I have an advertising agency. I'm on all the damn platforms, even the ones I don't like, right?
Yeah.
And you can link to all my stuff from my Deals with Heels podcast website, which is dealswithheels.com, and Hexagon Media. Uh, we do a lot of full service marketing services all the way up to just content creation. And I have some people that I just consult with them about quarterly, and they spend time with me on strategy. Uh, and I do sales coaching. So I'm kind of a all full service, all the different marketing functions. I spent a long time in corporate America as a marketing director, so I can pretty much do all of that. I do paint. I started painting actually in 2020. I I've always been a really big art lover. My first husband's an artist, and I love art museums. I love when I go to a new city, I love to look and explore and see what kind of cool art museums they may have because you'll find some hidden gem.
Oh yeah.
And for example, St. Petersburg, Florida. It's not a very big place. They
No.
have the most badass Salvador Dali museum I've ever been to. Salvador Dali in Florida, the Gulf Coast of, it's just such an odd place for it to be, but it's fantastic. If you ever go there, I highly recommend it. So I've just always loved that. But my creative expression was always came out with creative problem solving, creative campaign planning. I did do some video um, like producing and script writing, and I wrote copy, but I'd never taken any art lessons. I was much too busy taking math classes to take anything frivolous like art. And so I don't know why. I am one of those people that annoyingly is kind of good at most things they try. But
Indeed.
during the shutdown, I just had this desire to paint, and I can't really explain it, but I really wanted to. And I don't know why I thought I could do this specific thing, but I really wanted to paint my daughter's face. And it seems kind of absurd to think I can't draw, I can't sketch, I can't paint anything. I've never had a lesson. And for some reason, I want to start with maybe the most difficult thing there is to paint
Which is the
somebody's
face.
face and somebody I know's face. But that's what I wanted to do. And I had been to this art exhibit here in Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma City Museum of Art, the pop art exhibit. So it had like Andy Warhol and Lichtenstein and all the great pop art stuff in there. And so I had been doing some photo editing that kind of had that look and feel to it. So I had this photo of her I had edited, and I said, I'm gonna look at this. This is what I'm gonna do. Never painted really before ever, except for, as a kid with your little in-class art
Yeah,
stuff.
with the black
And so,
sponges.
right. And so I painted my daughter's face exactly. I mean, it looks exactly like her. I totally did. I have no idea how I did it. I can't draw her face. I can't, but I could paint it. And I painted it exactly, but I couldn't paint hair. I couldn't paint, like, I painted her face and it looked perfect. And then the rest of it, I had to paint over white like 4 times before I found something that I liked. But I found a hidden talent in my 50s. And so I've been painting since then. It's been about 3.5 years, and I don't know, probably painted 15 or 16 paintings, and I sold one last month. It was super exciting,
Yeah.
and but I'm totally an amateur, but God, I really love it so much. And I was telling a friend of mine, they said, "Well, why don't you just?" I said, "I need a patron." Do you remember like back in the day when the artist has a patron that pays all of their bills so that they can do art because they're just supporting them? My friend was like, "That's a sugar daddy." And I said, "No, I don't want the sugar. I just want no
I want the
sugar is
daddy. Wait,
involved.
what?
There's no sugar involved in this transaction. It's a patron. They love my artwork, not me. I just want to be able to paint." I think one of the things I really like about, I mean, it's great to find something that you can do that you have somewhat of a talent in, but what I really like it is how you can just express, you can really process emotions and all of those feelings, everything that happens, and you don't have to think about it.
No.
You just paint, and you're just better from the whole process of painting. The classic overthinker, and so you don't do any of that. You just paint it, and you just feel better. And I really love that so much. But and then I make a lot of advertising. I spent the majority, all of my career, almost in corporate world, explaining to a graphic artist what I wanted my ad to look like, re explaining. what I wanted it. Explaining why my damn phone number needed to be on the ad. Just it was the most frustrating aspect of my job trying to explain my creative vision to an artist for them to do. And around in 2020, there were such big developments in software that I don't have to be a graphic designer now or a graphic artist. I
It's
can
called
get an
Canva.
express version of Adobe and there's thousands of design elements already made, or I can it's easily to insert and make your own. And I have eliminated that. It's so empowering that I can sit down and make my own creative. I don't have to hire an artist. I can do it all myself. And I know what works, I know what sells, I know what looks good. And so I that part of it, it was really a great advancement in the technology side of it. Now, I don't make custom graphic designs, but I don't need that for advertising.
No, no.
So it I make a lot of it. I probably make, I don't know, 80 ads a month.
Whoa.
So I got to really get into the create, and I'm blessed. I can do analytical and business stuff, and I can be creative and make ads and do all of that. But I can't change on a dime. And that starts getting stressful. If, like, oh, I'm crunching all these numbers and I've got to get these sales done, and oh, I need to make a cute ad. It needs to be funny, and
Witty.
you can't do that. And so a lot of what I do ends up being at night. And sometimes I have to eat edibles to get all the clog out of the bullshit so that I
I
can
feel
be
you.
creative,
Yeah.
and get all that creative flow going. But man, once it starts going, the ideas just come flooding out, and my friends will get random text messages with ideas because they know when they're coming, they're coming. I got to get them out, and really good stuff comes out of that. But it's coming so fast, I can't really write it down. I voice text it out, and the producer of my own podcast. We're in a new studio this season, and that subject came up about ideas and keeping track of them. And there was a whole big laugh because Christina gets tons of those idea text messages from me at all hours of the night sometimes. And we were laughing, and I said, even Taylor, our producer, got one at like 10:30, 11 from me the other night because I had this big idea for him that was coming out. I mean, I'd made all my ads, but the ideas were just coming. And boy, you got to take advantage of it when they come and keep track
No,
of them
you
because
do.
there's good stuff. Good stuff
You
comes out
definitely
of
do.
that.
Deborah, I have to
Yeah.
say it there are times where when you meet somebody, you learn something. But there are times when you meet somebody, you get inspired. And you brought up a lot of great points, like specifically like even with optimism. Sometimes it's not always just don't be that bitch in the morning before I have coffee. Okay? Please.
Right. Don't be that bitch ever,
Period.
ever.
Period.
Yeah. Christina and I made that part of my personality, that can be really critical, that came from being a marketing director. We call her marketing director, Deborah, like
Ooh.
in third person, and that bitch gets on my ass too. And I'm not even playing. She's an
No, I
artist
feel
on me.
you.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it it helped me. Christina and I doing that really helped me accept that part of me because she's important. That bitch is not in charge. That's what I will tell you. She is not in charge, but it's nice to be able to pull her out when you need her, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice to be able to pull that out and to value that part of me, um, but and to stop worrying about it because that part of me sometimes hurts people's feelings without meaning to,
Yeah. No, I feel you
you
for sure.
know,
It's just
and
being able
that makes
to
me feel terrible, right? Like I didn't mean to hurt somebody's feelings, and it makes me
no.
feel terrible.
It's being honest with the person. It's also being able to like have that balance where I have had people where I can be that way and there's that understanding like, okay, he's being a little harsh, but truthfully he's being honest over here. I should hear him through. So
Yeah,
it's
I
It's fine. And then
Honesty is the best policy. I don't
yes,
mind kind of tiptoeing around something if it's going to hurt somebody's feelings and if it doesn't serve a greater good,
right.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Um, if I know that that person isn't ready to receive that kind of honesty,
Hmm.
then I am not stirring that shit pot. I will tell you that right now.
No, I feel.
I don't like to stir that shit pot. I don't like to get involved and cause drama. Let me fly
I,
under the
I,
radar a little bit.
yeah,
And so I may see it. Yeah, I learned that lesson because when I was your age, I might just say some shit, but now I'm not willing. I don't have the bandwidth left over to deal with all of the drama that would create. Now, if you ask me for my opinion, best know you're going to get it. you know if
no,
you
I feel.
just want me to agree with you and you just want a cheerleader, you need to tell me that ahead of time,
Oh my god.
right? Hey man, I need a little
Right.
support, can I tell you this idea? So now I know you're
Yeah.
looking for support for your idea. You're not looking for the constructive criticism that you might get if you ask my actual what's your opinion about it.
Yeah.
That's going to be a whole vast array of good and kind of good and great and bad and just but if you
Just all of it.
clarify that, if you just want a cheerleader,
Yeah. Oh my
because I
god.
got kicked out of cheerleading.
Oh my god. I feel. Listen, we got
I'm
we
not.
got we got stories for days. Um.
We do.
So before I forget, anybody that's out there, if you want to check out the podcast, you can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Lost in the Groove Pod. And with that, Deborah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It
Catch you again.
has. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Pleasure. And hey, might have actually found somebody that your way with the epic. Saying. All right. Catch
Hey
you on the
man,
next
I'm
one.
always happy to help. Happy to help.